Before I start this episode, I just want to take a quick moment to say that right now, worldwide, nationwide, citywide, we're going through a health crisis scare. You know, although we went through different viruses before, this coronavirus seems like to be something not to be played with. So with that being said, please take care of yourselves, take care of another, stay sanitized, buy whatever sprays you got to do, and wash your damn hands. Wash your ass. Do all these things, okay? It only takes 20 seconds. You know, sing happy birthday as you're washing. I mean, I know people who take a shit and don't wash their hands. And I ain't trying to bust out nobody, but it's the truth. Wash your hands, people. Stay sanitized. Me and my coworkers in the area we work in, we keep a bottle of Lysol at all times. We spray in the morning, spray in the evening. Protect one another, you know. So that being said, welcome to a special episode of the Mike Cook Guys podcast. And this is not the official first episode for season 7. Season 7 will be starting soon, later on this month in March. And I will be having guests on there. And we're also going to be doing something new in between episodes. I'm going to have various of my wrestling friends. We're going to do watch-alongs of wrestling matches and basically talk shit about it. This being an idea from chilling with my buddy J-Rod, and we love podcasting. We love listening to different podcasts. What Happened When with Tony Schiavone is our favorite because of how they act during watch-alongs. And we did it one time at a pay-per-view a couple years ago. Tonight's topic is a really interesting one, though. For those of you who know, the past few months, I've been on a different eating regimen. I don't want to say diet because when I think of the word diet, I think of the word die, you know. So, yeah, diet. And a lot of people wonder, well, what really made you want to start doing this diet? What made you start wanting to be crazy enough to do this routine of cutting back on eating carbs and sugars and all that? Before we get to that, though, let me gratify the origins of the ketogenic diet. So the ketogenic diet is basically where you're cutting back sugar, you're cutting back carbs, and you're doing only a certain amount in a day. And there's different categories of it. You got dirty keto, which is pretty much for those guys that's like, well, I eat, pounds and pounds of bacon a day and I lost 50 pounds in 6 months. Like, we get that. That's cool and all. But in the long run, it's going to really, mess up your cholesterol and all that because that's too much bacon. And then you got strict keto, which is basically the basic where it's 50 grams of carbs a day, or they call it the low carb diet. We get that. Then you have the people who are downright crazy doing hardcore keto, which is under 30 grams. That's what I started out doing. The past couple of weeks, though, I've been doing under 15 grams of carbs a day. That is unheard of for people. And it feels like my soul is being sucked out every day because I have less and less of an interest of eating, except for cheat days. But, so 15 grams of carbs a day. A daily regimen is a cup of coffee with a pack of Splenda. We're still at 0. Then you got, the handful of almonds. And I had recently, my buddy Iron Mike gave me a scale to where I can measure all this stuff on. So 3 grams of carbs, net carbs, with almonds is in 1 ounce. Or if you count by hand, you're looking at roughly between 28 to 30 almond pieces. So that's like the midday snack or something I eat throughout the morning because my body's hungry. And for those who don't know and don't research, almonds is good for burning fat in your stomach. Then my actual lunch is between 12 and 1:30. And that's usually sliced beef and broccoli. And, one thing I learned from another friend, lunch should be the heaviest meal of the day. And I'm doing sliced beef, and I'm doing at least about 4 grams of carbs of broccoli. And everyone's like, why broccoli? Easy. Broccoli's high in fiber. Broccoli's good for the digestive system. Broccoli keeps you filled up and nourished. Even though the first few days of doing it, it doesn't feel like it. But once your body breaks into it, it's like, okay, routine. Then when I get home, it's like I'm eating like 4, 5, 6 ounces of chicken, some chopped up lettuce. I might chop up some pickled ginger, add, a pack of duck sauce. You add all that up in a day. That's about between 9 and 11 grams of carbs that I ate. That's been me the past 2 weeks. Most people will look at that and say, Mike Cook, have you lost your damn mind? Maybe so. But let's rewind to what made me start going on this eating regimen. So it was the end of summer of 2019. My mom came to visit. Anyone who knows me really well knows how close I am with my mom. She's everything and then some. I love both my parents equally, but there's just something about, the connection you have with your mom is different no matter who you are. If you're connected with your mom, you understand where I'm coming from. So she came up and visited for about a week. And, you felt that safe haven, no matter what happens, mom's there. But when she was gone, it felt kind of like back to that dark, lonely feeling. Now, I get it. Yeah, there's friends that say always reach out to me, but y'all know me. I'm the time frames that I want to reach out to people, they're not going to show up. They're not going to answer. There's no point bothering. I get that. And then on top of that, there was this one person who meant so much to me, was gone. So that hit hard too. 2 hard hits. And I was in this like deep depression. I was sad, and I was, it was at the point where I felt like a different type of lonely. And it was a hard type of lonely because, and I mentioned before on, my podcast, it's no surprise. I've seen a specialist. They ruled it. Concealed depression. And it got really bad. Bad to the point to where, you start thinking about these things. You start wondering, you're overthinking. You're like, and you've done everything you wanted to do in this town. And you don't want a relationship because, you've been scorned enough, and the people that you do want it with, or the person that you really want to be with, they either are broken or they're, in a toxic situation, and, you still want to do all you can and wait, and they can tell you, you're not wasting your time, but sometimes you overthink, and because you go through that pattern of doubt, you think, well, maybe I am wasting my time. Even if you're not, you could actually not be wasting your time, but because of what you're going through inside as a person, you overthink these things, and you start having this self-destruction. And it was at the point to where I found the cure of my loneliness in my fridge. I was eating my emotions so bad. I was like overeating. Every time I had a moment like that, if I wasn't eating a big ass meal, I was ordering takeout like crazy. And mind you, the location I'm at, $20 of takeout, depending on where you go, is a lot of food. You know, it's a lot of food. And it was at the point I was just eating my emotions. I was eating. And I was putting on weight fast, but some of the clothes I was wearing, you couldn't tell. Some you could. And, it was getting really, really depressing. And I think what did it was one day at work, the chair I was sitting in, not once, but twice, the wheel popped off. And I'm like, I got to do something about it. Never did, though. I just figured, well, it's embarrassing. I can go home because I already know what's going to make me feel good when I go home. Food, junk food, ramen, rice, chicken, wings, fried, didn't matter, didn't care. I ate it. I was going through like a rough patch, eating my emotions. And then, my job kept nagging about us having, our preventive health exams. So I was like, okay, let me get this out the way just so they can nag me so I won't pay an extra $100 a month for insurance. So I went. They did my blood work. They did all this stuff. They ran tests. And my doctor pretty much told me, hey, man, you're borderline diabetic. That hit hard. That hit really hard. So that night, before I even stopped by to say hey to my friend, I was binge eating at the nearest buffet I could get to, which in my case, Manassas. And I probably ate about 4 plates like it was no tomorrow. And we ain't talking like 4 little plates neither. Nah, I was packing these plates. Like I was packing them because I felt so much disappointment. Like part of your mind is, what you're getting yourself into eating like this. But the other part of your mind is like, but it makes me feel so much better because of everything that was going on. It made me feel so much relieved and so much happy. And I don't want to sound like those type of people that's like, oh, pity is me, blah, blah, blah. No, by all means, do not feel that way. I know what I got myself into when I did it, So I get it. So I went to my best friend, another friend who I look at as a brother, Iron Mike. He was doing keto, and I remember he used to talk to me about this keto diet, and I'm like, this thing looks boring as, I'm not doing that. No. And I was looking at the weight he was dropping, And, I get it. People are like, hey, go do this and go do that. But mind you, with the schedule I got and the commute that I have to drive, by the time it's evening time and I'm back in my area, you don't feel like doing nothing. You don't have no energy. So it's easier said than done, But when talking to Iron Mike and how he was, telling me all these things, and he pretty much gave me the come to Jesus moment, and, he was motivating me. He had it where I went from being scared to feeling determined that this is what I got to do, And then I talked to this one certain person, well, I'm not going to name, but I'm sure when this episode is sent to this person, they understand where I'm coming from and how I feel and all this other things. And I said what I needed to say, and their reply was like, go for it. And I went from feeling determined to ready. Like, Iron Mike was pretty much told me, just straight up, let's kick diabetes ass. So most people, when they do keto, they go cold turkey right off the bat. And it's like, when they do it, it don't last long because they quit, you know. And with me, I ended up, for 1 week, I went slowly weaning off. I got rid of so much stuff that had sugar in it. And, you know, he was teaching me all these things that I need to learn about what foods to eat, what foods not to eat, how to read labels. You know, he gave me an app called Carb Manager that you don't even have to do keto. You can just do like low carb diets, and it tells you what foods to eat, what foods not to eat, you know, how to convert over. And he was pretty much, he was my motivation guy. And there's another coworker at my job who's all the way in the outside Chicago area. He was another one. He was a big guy, and I never knew that he did keto, but he lost a lot of weight. And he pretty much told me, you know, yeah, you can still do this and that. You can't do this and that. And I'm like, what about drinking? He gave me a list of stuff I can drink. And I'm like, all right, cool. So the first week, I was like slowly doing it. And it was not easy because I was saying goodbye to a lot of things. I was saying goodbye to that giant drum of rice I had. I was saying goodbye to ramen. I was saying goodbye to like all this other stuff that I had. And I started looking at foods that I could eat and learning and, you know, label reading. And, you know, it's a lot of work to do. It's not easy, you know. And then that first official week, I'm just going. I'm just, you know, doing all these meal preps, figuring out what goes with what, you know, trying to like pan out everything food-wise. Like it was crazy, you know. But then like the second, third day, I was like tired. I felt like shit. I was like, man, is this shit even gonna work? Is it worth it? I felt like giving up that first week and say, you know what? Kill me, diabetes. Like, just do it, you know. But it was the fourth day the worst happened. And by the worst, and anyone who's done the keto diet, you know what I'm talking about. The good old keto flu. Man, I felt like I was like straight up, I almost shitted on myself one night because it makes you're going. You're pretty much like that dehydrated feel. So you're drinking water, you're drinking Powerade Zero, you're popping your multivitamins, you're doubling up on that because the magnesium and all that. Like, you gotta, when you stop doing carbs and stuff, you're also losing, you know, sugar as well, because certain carbs have certain amounts of sugar in it. So you're having sugar withdrawals. You're cranky. You're mad. Like, it would make me, I would get so irritated until one day at my job, a coworker said, tell us how you really feel. I went on a random 30-minute rant, and everybody looked at me like, wow. And I admit it, I probably wasn't the best of people to be around. But you also got to look at it from my shoes too. I'm fighting a battle for my health. Anybody who goes through a situation like that and they have to give up their usual lifestyle, their usual routine, just to start new in order to add longevity to their life. Of course, it's going to be frustrating. You're going to be angry. But after that keto flu hit and I hit ketosis, now ketosis is the state where you hit, where you're eating a lot of good fats and all that, and you start losing that stomach weight. And for those watching the video, you're probably saying, compared to how you looked in 2019, you got a neck. I see your face standing out, whether you got a beard or not. And on top of that, 4 years ago, the clothes I'm wearing right now, like my undershirts, I couldn't fit, but I can fit back in them recently. So that's an accomplishment. So when you hit ketosis, you're going through a energy rush where it's inhuman. You feel like you're at the mecca of your energy, where at first your day, the first few moments of your day starts out sluggish. Then all of a sudden, boom, you got this burst of energy that is unstoppable. It is a crazy, exhilarating, confusing, yet rewarding feeling. Prime example. So you guys know I work a second job. I work retail part-time in a mall. There was Black Friday. I had to work Thanksgiving night going into it, you know. So from 10 o'clock Thanksgiving night, going into 8 in the morning Black Friday, I was working and I was pushing hard. I didn't stop. I felt like I was the number one entrant in the Royal Rumble and I ended at number 30 and won. That's how my energy felt. And I was not tired. I barely took a break. Maybe to drink something from Starbucks, because mind you, when you add something like espresso shots to keto energy, you feel like that you just took a shot of something and you're like, phew, like you're go, 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 go. I got off work. I went home. I didn't even take a nap. I got breakfast. I went home. I chilled until I went back to work, and I worked from 3 to midnight, still with the same energy I had as the going in the last shift, that 10 to 8 in the morning. Scary, isn't it? And then the next day, I had to open on a Saturday and worked like a 6-hour, 7-hour shift. And then that Sunday, I worked. Same energy. No problem. And went back to my regular job that Monday. Still kicking ass. Now when my birthday hit, yeah, I took a break. It was my birthday week. I didn't care. I was eating dirty, but not as bad as people expected. Because I was going to eat the foods I wanted to eat. I was going to spend time with, Big Brother Brian and do our thing at the diner, because that was our ritual for a while. We had Saturday morning breakfast at the diner. Oh, you best believe I was going to do that on my birthday weekend, for sure. I wasn't going to let that stop me. I was going to eat my Mexican food at my favorite spot, LTO's in Gainesville. I was going to do that. And I was doing that with a group of people that, became like my little, not just my friends, but they were like a support group too. Even though we don't hang out like we used to, we've all went our separate ways. But we still, see each other. Hey, what's good? What's happening? Because we're all busy. We got lives outside of work. I'm just the only one in that group that's single and don't have a kid. But I will say this, even though I am now an uncle for the second time to a newborn baby, that's pretty much the closest to me of having a daughter that you guys will see, until you guys claim the right woman will come into my life and change me, which I think the right woman is here presently. It's just that trying to convince that right woman of that. And whatever work that I got to put in, I'm damn sure going to do it, but they got to cash in too, because I'm already at the roulette wheel. But that's a different story. But since doing keto, I can't tell you the last time I had to use my CPAP machine. If I use my CPAP machine, it's because I want to expand oxygen in my body. So if I was a world-class athlete, I'm cheating. Then on top of that, I stopped taking my acid reflux medicine. I haven't had no use for it. And I still eat spicy. It's just that the acid from foods that we eat on top of spicy foods really messes with your stomach walls. By doing the keto diet, even though you're eating good fats, it's not the fats that will eat at your walls and build acid. And it's one of those things I wish I would have known when I was doing weightlifting. There's no telling how that would have been. But so far, even though people notice it, and probably people back home when they see me soon won't notice the full difference, but I'm pretty much back to the weight I was when I first moved up here. With the exception of the few weeks that I was off keto, I basically dropped down 30 pounds. 30 pounds. And you people notice it. It's a great feeling. Now, don't get me wrong. I am still the same Mike Cook that you see to this day. Just because I lost weight does not mean that I'm better than you. It doesn't mean that I'm arrogant. And just because I'm informative about it doesn't mean that I'm being an asshole about it. If anything, I'm proud of the fact that I'm bettering myself in this situation. Because changing a lifestyle like that, that's a big sacrifice. Because I could be that guy that just said, well, whatever, doctor, I'm still going to do me and just figure it out on my own. I already got enough health issues with shoulders, neck, back. My knees don't bother me as much anymore since doing keto because the foods we eat, I don't build inflammation. Now, right now, I'm dealing with a sciatica problem, but that's from years ago from a car wreck. That's something, no matter what diet I'm on, I can't control that. I could be a $180, and the moment I hear that pop and my back and my hips are hurting, and it feels like my legs are like numbing, I got to deal with that. There's nothing you can do. Only thing the doctor can say is, well, we can give you these anti-inflammatories. You're on your own. And it is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, major health-wise, I'm in a good place. I'm really in a good place. And even I notice it. I notice it in my breathing. I don't sound like I'm out of breath when doing the podcast. I get real long-winded, So it's one of those things where you take the good with the bad and the bad with the good, So because of that, I take pride in those type of things. So now that you guys know my backstory and a lot of you guys know the truth of why I've been doing this keto diet, I still appreciate any of the people that support, still supporting the podcast, still supporting the Mike Cook Guys brand as a whole, whether it's buying t-shirts, doing shout outs, impersonating my raspy voice, it's one of those things I enjoy. That's why I still kept doing Facebook Live, even though I only do it for the pre-show. I still kept it going, But I still got a ways to go doing this diet. And a lot of people say, well, long-term wise, it's not good for you. Okay, your toxic relationship ain't good for you, but you're still doing it. They say you can't drink sugar-free drinks like Coke Zero because it contains aspartame. Aspartame can cause cancer cells to grow. Newsflash. I've had it twice, and I wasn't using aspartame. So what does that tell you? You are what you eat. And while most of you guys are watching me on video, you're like, wow, he really does look different. Wow, he has gotten smaller. It's not me showing off. I'm still Mike. Although I will say this, it was embarrassing today at work when I was talking to one of my friends, and even she said, wow, Mike, you're really flexible. And one thing about flexibility in jeans or work pants that are too big on you, they rip easily when you're moving at the wrong angle. So my work pants ripped, and it's like, oh, shit. Thank God these pants are baggy because my poof, I can feel the breeze coming from my poofy when sitting down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody notices it because I'm wearing my red, white, and blue underwear, and it's like the tiger stripe because I'm a big fan of Brian Pillman. And anyone who knows someone who knows how to sew pattern underwear, I need some tiger stripe underwear. I need more. I'm a 3XL. Holla at your boy. Send me a private message. Reply to this podcast. If you're watching on Facebook Live, please tell me you know someone. I will not hesitate to compensate. I just wanted to throw that out as a random disclaimer. But anywho, Season 7. Season 7. Season 7 starts the end of March. And Season 7 is going to be walking the door that Season 6 kicked open. I'm going to next level. We're going to have legit artists on there. We're going to have the wrestling watch-alongs where me and special guests sit through a certain wrestling match that's monumental, talk about it, talk shit about it, laugh about it, you know. And we're gonna raise that level a little bit higher in 2020. And like I said, anyone, if you own a business, if you're a musician, free advertising. I'm giving you a platform of free advertising to have your stuff mentioned at no extra charge. Just send me your info and we will do a plugin for it. No problem. But you gotta want it. I can't force it. I can't force it, and I don't plan on forcing it. Some of y'all are grown-ass people. So, yeah, I'm not forcing it. So, that being said, coming soon to you guys, the Mike Cook Guys podcast, Season 7, The Rebellion as I call it, coming soon. And this is the part where I pretty much give y'all the usual catchphrase of how I end it. But since we're not doing an official season episode, I can't give you that usual catchphrase of goodbye and good night. All I can tell you is this. Just like my new refined body on this keto diet, I will say this. Stay prepared, stay ready, because Mike Cook, it's reborn.